My name is Sian Martin and I write songs mainly. So I grew up in London. I grew up in North London, not far from here really. I've been on a steady slope down the social ladder, which music can take you very far. And I was surrounded by musical opportunities. It's something that my mum's Welsh, and it was obviously something that was really important to her. I had a proper classical music upbringing, went to classical concerts. I can sing you the whole of Mozart's Requiem in my head. But then I had two big brothers who were really into Pink Floyd and The Doors and all sorts of stuff. And then when I was 13, 14, I started going to clubs, which you can't do anymore because you have to produce ID. In my day, they wanted the 14-year-old girls in there, and they were part of the attraction for everybody else. And I think that got me into kind of funk music, and then I started going to Red Groove parties when I was about 15, 16, Shaken Finger Pop from Family Function that Kevin ran, and all of that. They were, that was part of my life. And at 18, I started meeting people who were really into jazz, so they introduced me to jazz, which I was kind of scared of. And when I started writing, then people started saying, well, you need to listen to Joni Mitchell, or you need to listen to Crosby, Stills and Nash because you're writing folk music. I hadn't heard any folk music up until then. So then I went back to the 60s and started listening to that kind of music. So I did it in a really weird order. And then it was kind of Sly and the Family Stone and Marvin Gaye and Motown, so I came to that stuff really late. Although the first 3 records that I bought, and I think they're really telling, the first 3 singles that I bought were Joe Jackson's Different for Girls, which is just immaculate songwriting. Pretenders, Brass in Pocket, which is just filth. And Smokey Robinson, The Tracks in My Tears. But yeah, I came to things in a totally strange way. But to me, it's all exactly the same. Like, I don't hear any difference musically when I listen to Pearl Jam than when I listen to Prokofiev. It's exactly the same. It's the same rules. It's exactly the same rules of music. And I'm quite happy listening to either, really. I'm quite undistinguishing now. It's not really stuff that I don't like, unless it doesn't work. But I can't tell you why it doesn't work, but some things don't work. They fail. They just fail. So yeah. The question is, tell us about your journey from how you started to how you ended up here. So in this process of having these managers and them wanting me to be a performer and me writing so much, way more than I could record. Anyway, that was kind of my 20s, and it just got on and on and on, and it just got to the point where, well, anyway, and then I met somebody, I got married, I had a child, I got cancer, my vocal cords got chewed up by the cancer. So actually, if I hadn't made the decision was kind of already made for me, that it wasn't going to be singing, and also acting, because I can't really get up on stage and perform. So that whole thing, if you don't make the decisions in your life, they're going to be made for you anyway, I reckon. So that decision was made. And that whole period of 10 years while I was married and had the kids and had the cancer and stuff, I didn't even listen to music. I couldn't bear to listen to music. It made me feel like I was going to be sick. And it completely left my life. I didn't write anything at all. And it was only when I came out of being ill and I came out of a relationship and I took back my life or whatever, let go, stop being angry, that I started writing. And again, like, you know, 4 or 5 songs a week, just pouring out. And then I met up again with Lincoln Elias, who I'd known from when I was in my 20s, and he was putting projects together, and he just started getting me doing top lines, which I hadn't done before, so I'd always just written my own stuff. And it's progressed from there, really. So when you write top lines, somebody sends you a backing track, and you write the melody and lyrics on top of it. So they send me whatever, and it could be anything. It could be absolutely anything from kind of dubstep to rock music to funk to folk or whatever. And I just, the discipline that I have about it is that I don't listen to it until I can actually write on it, because the first thing I hear is normally the right thing. And I know a lot of songwriters that kind of have books full of lyrics that they're constantly writing out words and ideas, but I don't. The lyrics come from the music, and everything comes at the same time.
How did you get into writing?
I've been writing poetry since I was 4. My mum found some stuff that I was writing at 4, but it's really quite weird. It's quite scary.
You got any?
Yeah, upstairs. I would be disturbed if my children started writing that kind of stuff now. Yeah, it's really, you know, words. I mean, I just obviously was really, really into words, and I was reading very early at 3, and, you know, just eating words. I mean, I read Watership Down when I was 7 in a day, and it was just words. So I was writing, and I wrote all the way through school, and then I went to Oxford University and studied English and stopped writing completely, because it wasn't about me writing, it was about tearing apart other people's writing. What would I say to people who want to get into songwriting? Well, the first thing I say to anybody who wants to do anything artistic is, if you don't have to do it, don't do it, because it's going to shit on you and make you feel like crap. And if the high that it gives you doesn't outweigh how awful it's going to make you feel, don't bother. That's the first rule. If you want to get into songwriting, you know, to be serious about it, you've got to have, okay, there are a few exceptions. Alanis Morissette is an exception. She's, you know, a genius songwriter who doesn't play an instrument apart from the mouth organ. But seriously, you need to learn something, whether it's a keyboard or guitar or you know, how to use computers efficiently, because a song is not, it's not just about melody and words, it's also about harmony and about how things push off each other and resist each other, and it's the crunch between all of those things that make it interesting, that make the little hairs in your ears go, oh, that's pleasurable, or that's not pleasurable, you know. What works, you know. Does that work? That makes you feel something, but, you know, that makes you feel something different, you know, that makes you feel something different. You know, if you can't find your way around those things, then you're going to be left out of the language of music that people around you are going to be speaking to a certain extent. So I would say learn something, learn an instrument, and do it. The thing about writing is, you know, I've had people say to me, I've always wanted to write songs, and I just thought, well, if you really did, you would have. Which is brutal, but true. If you did, you would. Because if you need to, you have to. basically. So if that's how you make sense of your world, then nobody's going to be able to stop you, basically. When you write a song and it's for somebody else, you've got to learn the art of letting go. It's like having kids, isn't it? You don't grow them so that they're tied to you for the rest of your life. You grow them so that they can walk. So you write it and then it's gone and it's no longer yours. And when I hear other people, like people say to me, oh, how do you feel your song was on the radio, or how do you feel the song was on television and on a film, and I'm like, well, yeah, but it's not mine anymore. It was mine when it was here. When it was here, it was mine. When it was in my mouth, it was mine. But now it's theirs. There's a literary criticism book by a guy called Roland Barthes called Death of the Author, which I read when I was 18, and it's about the fact that, see, all these books here, they're all written by an author, but every time somebody reads them, they kill the author, because they write the book, because they're reading the book. So every time somebody sings my songs, I'm gone from the process. I have to be removed from the process. And every time somebody hears it, they're rewriting it again. And their interpretation of it is just as valid as mine, if not more, because, a song isn't a song until it's heard. A song just in my mouth and on my piano is a song up my arse. It's not a song. It's singing. Music is the most fundamental interactive process that human beings do. It doesn't exist just in the singular. It's a plural activity. Not just in terms of making it, but in terms of hearing it and giving it. What is the best thing about being me? Is that I do absolutely nothing that I don't want to do, and everything I do is what I want. Not many people can say that, but yeah, that's that. Yeah. If I don't want to do it anymore, I just don't, because it will make you ill in the end. Doing too much stuff that you don't want to do, and not doing the things that you should be doing makes you ill, and I know that way too well. So that's the best thing about being me. That's a blessing. Doing those calls today. I know